croeso yn noswaith da tronwn yma, ffesg yma, agos ffaultio, gan o Radio Celtic Australia-a-Deas, ag cywig EBI, union i 3.1 FM, digitach EBI World, nios rhywg yn leine, ys mysio rhynich nigari, agos sio am program sonricha la na machrich yn aging. Good afternoon and welcome to Celtic Radio Hour here at 5EBI 103.1 FM or digital EBI World. My name is Rachel Hay and a special welcome to anyone listening from further afield with the streaming service at www.5ebi.com.au. Kimadaha, how are you today? I'm here in Tolchche, Skaskavel, Nayach Behing Galyoraching and Chaching. I guess a certain Toshach Glesha Shin. I'm pleased because there's plenty of animal news this week, so I can start with my favourite segment, This Week in Animal News. We'll start in Cornwall. Chai 3 bar fichet gyildring ech tohanas bodiniel an bodmen diar stern. Ha polis a chorn yn bioch gwnjach et a roch. Sgas gyfel et clachtje ri glwasat agus marshin beag e furista a cwr awn yn carabat. A herd of 23 cows, including 10 calves, went missing from a farm in Bodmin, in Cornwall, last Thursday. Cornwall police are of the opinion that the cows have been stolen rather than lost. They're used to being moved, they said, and therefore might have been easily loaded onto a vehicle. Thefts of sheep are reported to us from time to time, PC Chris Collins said, but it's particularly unusual for cows to go missing. Further north in Wales, 3 people were attacked by a water buffalo in Gwahelog. Am beag sef y creation gyfel bwafal ushga an sa Chymru. Wel, chai trwy a rwyrag le bwafal ushga an yn siaramach fanwy. Ur fer bas an yn larach, agos chai jes o lion y gymor. 3 people were attacked by a water buffalo at Gwahelog in Monmouthshire. 1 man was pronounced dead at the scene and 2 were injured. His name, the man who died, was Ralph Jump, the 57-year-old owner of the farm. His 19-year-old son Peter was airlifted to a hospital in Cardiff and his 22-year-old daughter Isabel has a broken leg. The water buffalo in question has since been put down. Mr. Jump was a manager for an underfloor heating company and the family runs a soap company called Buffalina, selling handmade buffalo milk products. Va kujobrach ek Ralph Jump nach Marin ek a company a jenes chesachug for Ula agus va company Hjálachach a jenes Schiapan le banya buaval. Hanig an Chálach gan tuahanas sin va chelm Shia blienichen agus hanabian a gra goveliet agus an kuch buavalachka gemas knock. The family bought the farm 5 years ago and all the neighbours have said that they and their buffaloes usually were very nice. Well, I've barely been convinced not to play the VeggieTales Water Buffalo song as the first song of the programme. So instead I'm going to make a tenuous connection through the thought that of animals to John Williamson's Old Man Emu. How is this suitable for a Celtic programme? Well, it's the same tune as The Hills of Connemara. So here you have John Williamson, Old Man Emu.
Let me tell you of an interview with an old man emu. He's got a beak and feathers and things, with the poor old fella ain't got no wings. I'm too jealous of the wedge-tailed eagle and battle-it-da-da-da, while the eagle's flying round and round to keep her 2 feet firmly on the ground. Now I can't fly, but I'm telling you, I can run the pants of a kangaroo, but I do. He can't fly, but I'm telling you, we can run the pants of a kangaroo. Well, he was the model for the 50 cents. Da-da-da-da. The designer should have had more sense. Da-da-da-da. If you take a look, it'll prove to you. I ran the pants of that kangaroo, but I did. Take a look, it'll prove to you. He ran the pants of a kangaroo. You can't loop the bandaloo like a cockatoo, da-da-da-da-da. Swoop and toss like an albatross, da-da-da-da-da. You silly galah, I'm better by far than a white cockatoo or a budgerigar. They squeak and squawk and try to talk. Why, me and them's like cheese and chalk, but I do. He can't fly, but I'm telling you, we can run the pants of a kangaroo. Well, the last time I saw old man, he knew da-da-da-da. He was chasing a female, he knew da-da-da-da. As he shot past, I heard him say, she can't fly, but I'm telling you, she can run the pants of a kangaroo. But I do. She can't fly, but I'm telling you, she can run the pants of a kangaroo. Well, there is a moral to this ditty, da-da-da-da-da. Thrush can sing, but he ain't pretty, da-da-da-da-da. Duck can swim, but he can't sing, nor can the eagle on the wing. You can't fly, but I'm telling you, he can run the pants of a kangaroo. Well, the kookaburra laughed and he said it's true, da-da-da-da-da. We can run the pants of a kangaroo.
They'll be wizards of rugby
I scarcely have to name Callan for you at this point, but that was Can from their album Solomon. In the cover notes they say, Con ladgaro am ddyfodol yr iaith a dyhwylliant Cymraeg, a patriotic song about the future of the Welsh language and culture. And there was a reason I played that for you today. The Welsh Assembly have changed their name. Raharich Parliament Cymru yn animara, ha Senedd Cymru yn eisiau, agus bi balsianach yn eisiau luch politics. As of Wednesday, the Welsh Parliament is called, the Welsh Assembly, is called Senedd Cymru, and its members will be called members of the Senedd instead of Assembly members. And in English, the term will now be Welsh Parliament instead of Welsh Assembly. Due to the pandemic, not much will actually change for the members of the new members of Parliament, as they will continue to meet remotely. Get virus a chrún a gielachag nach bimor in a gaharach a glesh an anyam, ha cynnyf yn yn etalin maha, ha et a sio planachag, ha et sio a planachag vychiel misen, hoshich dynio ribrian mi ein sio awn yn da fil agos da ieg, ach chadw Cymru smach gnawichen chun da fil agos siach jeg, gus yn big an animur lael. Proposals to change the name of the Welsh Assembly began in 2012, but it wasn't until 2017 that the Assembly got enough control over its own affairs to justify the name change. A Parliament has greater authority to create laws than an Assembly. The new name was originally going to be only in Welsh, as the building that houses the debating chamber is already called the Senedd, rather than Assembly. But a number of Assembly members wanted to include English in the name. In the end, the bilingual name was chosen, but it is expected that within Wales the Parliament will be referred to as the Senedd in order to differentiate it from the Parliament at Westminster. Va emigdynia son yn anima fi an yn Cymru Siafan, ach va fion sa Parliament yn yr sin, mi ar eich hol hwryd rompa anam da chananach a fi iawn, agos ha halwch naiach yn dôl gwn clachar Senedd an yn Cymru hen, sgas gyfel sin an anam a clachas dyrnia awns a fiela agus awns a chymrish, agus gysyn bi an anam etrialach ja awn for Westminster. This is a significant milestone in Welsh history, so from there to some significant women in Scottish history to celebrate Mother's Day. Well, rannig sin clach meel a cydnarmach awn yn iachri Cymru, agus anish Cymru sin yn slia sio, gus brin sig mi ein cyrrabyranach cydnarmach awn yn iachri Alba. Sio siach na boranach, siehyd a ua plach yn cynyachi a mis sio, agus che of a parshin scalach rabished and brusach. The first of our 7 Scottish women is Madge Easton Anderson. I had a great aunt called Madge Anderson, but this one, who lived from 1896 until 1982, was the first female solicitor in Scotland, the first woman to qualify to practice law both in Scotland and England, and a partner in the first known law firm led entirely by women. Ban hyn siarach a merin ro meiret ych laundrish, ach si echyd ban o le an alapa a fawn yn meiret Easton nich laundrish. Besha echyd borinach a clachig an le awn yn alapa agus sassing, agus baldian cyd noach le styrich je le borinich. Bi Mary Burton an lesach a socialta, agus awn y 1835 sy'n neu, ymyrsti gwbwach mo gus ban olianich a legalistiach awn Heriot-Watt University. Mary Burton, who lived from 1819 until 1901, was a social reformer and a suffragette. In 1869, she successfully campaigned for the Watt Institution and School of Arts, now the Heriot-Watt University, to admit female students. Cicely Isabel Fairfield, who lived from 1892 until 1983, was a novelist, travel writer and journalist, better known under the pen name Rebecca West, who reported on the Nuremberg trials. By Rebecca West of Sheilas Isabel Fairfield, skriviche yr ein ahrische na diechan in Nuremberg. Huel Isabel Wiley Hutchison fiag an Arctic, gus losan a toggle son an Garian real. Agus chai cutgin a film an ahrisach as meiche a chlárig lehe. Isabel Wiley Hutchison, who lived from 1889 until 1982, was an Arctic traveller and botanist who risked life and limb collecting plants for the Royal Botanic Gardens and Kew. She pioneered new routes across inhospitable terrain, boarded ghost ships, and captured some of the earliest documentary footage ever recorded. Elizabeth Buchanan Mitchell, who lived from 1880 until 1980, was one of Scotland's leading early female town planners and a pioneer in the profession of town planning. She campaigned tirelessly for the importance of greens, open spaces, gardens, and quality mass housing. Bí planich balla a bhhanan Ialasa Tvochanan, agus immert is son blarin, garian, agus tehan maha sloie. Bí Myrat Karen Tate na filmiche agus beshe a chiad bar in a halapanach a sturig film mór an a mille naikid gehrafecha sadayeg. Margaret Catherine Tate, who lived from 1918 until 1999, was an avant-garde filmmaker and the first Scottish woman to direct a feature-length film in 1992. And finally, a woman important to the saga of Robert the Bruce, as I promised earlier. After the Bruce's death, when his young son David was king, a man named Edward Balliol tried to take power and crowned himself king at Scone. As Jade do a Vrusach Kirchlig, nuair a bheith amach gá geiche na rí daimhí, chur féad inró Edward Balliol, rá a bhí rí agus chrúne a héin ar a chlach. Ach, bha imig mach suin as dílas do daimhí an brúsach, agus mar sin thuig é taniste úr, agus chai é de Yonsi Edward. Over many in Scotland were still loyal to David Bruce and chose a new regent and attacked Edward Balliol. They killed many of his barons, and in the fighting, Edward himself barely escaped with his life. He fled back to England and, after a time, gathered a huge army and marched back northwards against Scotland. The fighting continued for quite a while. Round the Halapanich Bate, Emig Gianet agus Chavo gun the hard Edgert as of la bio. Chai suas gusasing, agus a ciangresh, hanige a resh a galapa, agus armor echke, va sabetje naam fatun yvor. Ganalm shin, va boranach visniachel, aun ró Agnes Rú. Sé banjarla a vínshe, agus choske riamh dech dua. One of those who fought bravely at the time was a courageous woman called the Countess of March, but because she always wore dark clothes, she was known as Black Agnes. Her husband, the Earl of March, was away fighting when the English besieged the castle of Dunbar. They brought siege engines capable of throwing enormous stones against the walls. Lava shaw, agus an jarla fate fall of a sabach, hanig and darum sassanach go Dunbar. Hug it enjalan shestjure, a vega chilligo clach and more a rishavala. Ach, va Agnes Rú a churomfa nach eier dunja a chastjelechke, agus chadraini ach gara nur hanig na sassanich. Black Agnes had made up her mind that nothing and no one would make her give up her domain, and when the English brought their most powerful siege engines against Dunbar, Agnes just laughed as they bombarded the walls with giant stones. In fact, it's claimed that she stood on the ramparts with her ladies and her maids, and when a stone hit the walls, she would have them wipe the spot with a clean white cloth, as if to say that she liked to keep her castle clean and tidy, and all the harm the English could do was make a little dust. Nuair a bhfuil clach ar a bhalla, bhíag an Agnes goránig le chlá geall. Fat cóig mísan cum Agnes a chastil sláán, ach a ceall na núne sin, chab bhór nach rá luch na chastil go céchlig le acras. Aiche bha seo, chai gascach etar na bátach an sasanach an an corach viche, agus ure bíach son a chastil. As dé sin chail na sasanach an dálchas gan feiad Dunbar, agus chaiad gachi, agus étsan an náiriche gun dúr boranach bua gara. For 5 months, Agnes kept the castle intact, but by the end of that time, its inhabitants were close to starving. One night, a brave man managed to slip between the English ships, which had stopped supplies from getting into the castle, and got enough food for those back at the castle. After that, the English lost all hope of taking Dunbar, and they left, angry and ashamed at having been beaten by a woman. Well, it's about time for another song. Something with a strong beat, I think, and something defiant against Loch na Béala. Here's Runrig with Fichat Bliana.
Skin fackle girl and that cow. Short on your, short on flow. Gentle lace and who is that room so? Scary sheep so assassin you. Sheer shiven down. He get the others on feeding. Better your face, better your water. He get the anti-viator. Look at your and follow you. Using sheen you later. Cotton's parts, the cost of girl. Calagarama, your heart is fun. Special hjärtat i bjau. Ønsket og nåløy, kanskje njau. Lene for telefonen. Bare med tanne til deg strøm. Kjørte til galen dem fjau. Vi gitt lene som firi. Beter jeg fest, beter jeg varan. Vi gitt lene til vjerte. Kukket jeg, vi falla början. Ich misse was als Müll. Hör mich Tisches, hör mir Länge. Hör mich Art in der Sonne. Vater, wenn Bonne wie Rast. Durch Sonne hat ja die Wohl. Ich will tat Geld. Was sehe ich klar im Geld? Ich ist ein schwieriges Grün. Ich geb mir das an Frieden. Better your face, better your waran. Vi gitt bli en tjevrieke. Look at your frie falla början.
Symmerúta chun ag mína má lágus tí lín. Chun ag mína mnahan ag na cloniagus na carstein a bheith an gud a níoch gur agus a penne bhóla. Fir post na countir in dúf gan cumas lá chuidig ní hor skyib. Chun ag mína fir mór a láte. Carnig an dúil gan gealad cílach post agus gan díligilas na lomar na drau. Gal a dúla go strátin Glasgow agus go fásig an Canada a chuidú nach de básí cléachtas agus na glái a chun múlar a chuin. Ag tíad an dúil, agus ag sy'n y báin a ffys ar oper gran al gynny'n yn wlad.
Fi gyd blian, smian yn wlad. Fi gyd blian, smian yn wlad. Fi gyd blian, smian yn wlad.
Runrig and Shin Ri Fichat Bliana, Runrig with 20 years. Well, we're 20 years into this century, and while lockdown might feel for some as though it's lasted 20 years, we're hoping it doesn't. In fact, a number of countries are now talking about lifting some of the restrictions. In Scotland, they're crowdsourcing ideas on how to ease lockdown. Ha emig dwy agus Australia a mes a brian mi ein crich a chwyd yn lockdown. An an alapa ha yet the fain biach gan as an llwye. Chrwy'ch rialtas na halapa larach lin ferin bicorum ec dynia jaspa the yenaf. Ha e colachri yenat chola agus colachri larach me yn socialta agus a surring do dynia na biach ganach a sgrifach agus biach gan dynia ella a rankich. The Scottish Government has set up a website allowing people to debate their ideas for easing lockdown. It's been described as a combination of the Scottish Government's consultation hub and a social network like Facebook. It allows people to post their ideas and rate and comment on other people's ideas. While it's not a true opinion poll, it does provide the government with an insight on what people are thinking, as some ideas have come up time and time again. Chan ei cwntas biach gahawn a han lairich seo a torsht gan rialtas geir viach jay na hanna dynia smeichig. Ha cyrra biach a tian suas a rist, mar a siempler. Ha ymig dynia a geir I fosgla na'n cwrsach yn golf. Is docha gyfel dynia fyr mesel golf. No, is docha gyfel I dechredian gym biag sio ffyrsta a yenaf agus astrach ag socialta a cwmwl. Scores of posts on the website have asked for golf courses to be reopened, with hundreds of supportive replies. Now, it may be that people just really like golf, but it may also be that they think it's an easy restriction to lift and maintain social distancing. Outdoor exercise is also a popular topic, with suggestions ranging from hill walking to sailing and even croquet, but debate over indoor exercise is far more heated. Some think it's a personal decision to go back into gyms, with a booking system perhaps to control numbers, but others think it's madness to encourage hot, sweaty bodies in an enclosed environment. Ha acrasi terfamui fyr ialfor, agus dynia a brian mien stepeg, agus sialag, agus croquet, a chan jaspa fatnas chower e cwsbyr acrasi terfastoi. Ha fiawan yn biach nach ele ach corunag persanta, an chej dynia erach gan taisúntas nio nach chej, agus gym biag system clara gawn, gus smach go cwmwl arifan. A haffiawn ela yn biach nach hel sin ach anyachiel. A sgas gym biag borig yn falasacha yn acha cwrstich yma sin. Ach Jamie yn na sgolchan, a et fosgl go sio. What about schools? They're officially opening here, and it's a topic of fierce debate. How would you maintain social distancing in schools? Other countries are quite worried about that too. First Minister Sturgeon in Scotland commented that staying 2 metres apart would put an upper limit on how many pupils could be in the classroom. Do we have to take classes and divide them in two, where half the class is there 1 week and the other half the next, she asked? Or one half in the morning and the other in the afternoon? A fé Secretary Minister Sturgeon gan cwrastrach ag socialta imel comiad scholar a bhíag san siomar tegaisk. An bíag achan rís na clasach an a bhrísig an dal le, agus le agus scol san darna seachgan agus les san seachgan eile arsi. Nio les a vadding agus les an esgid. Agus cudjach bíag leisg le cléin óga as de socialta a chumol. Hwrs teacher bunscola awn yn dynhedyn gwn byr yn a bas a astrach y socialta a cwmwl awn yn sgol bec y reiltoch nach byr gawn yn sgol môr as a glasach. Nicola Sturgeon also acknowledged that it would be difficult to get small children to maintain social distance, and a primary teacher from Edinburgh commented that it would be easier to keep social distance in a small 15-pupil school in the Highlands than in a large school in Glasgow with 800 pupils. He also pointed out that schools work differently now, and that would have to be taken into consideration. Chanel scholar yn as na'n suya agus a cwyat der yn teacher arse, ha sin co obrachel agus cruichel, be clown a glosag mwyn gwrst yn siomer, be et a benel blochichan agus stuchanella. Am be gachan reis yn glanig, gach turras a fe a clown gan bianol, Jamie in Raylan live in Styra. It's no longer sitting and looking at the teacher at your desk, Edinburgh primary teacher Blair Minchin pointed out. We're collaborative, we're creative, we have kids move around the class, they're touching concrete materials, blocks and cubes. Would they need to be washed every time a kid touches one? And what about handrails on stairs? Myrick Jones, the head of Ysgol Gyfan Gymraeg Llan, a secondary school in Wales, said he was desperate to reopen, but only when it was clear how it could be done safely. Hurst Myrick Jones, ceannist Ysgol Cymrish Llan gyfel easgu yn sgol osglyg, ach nid yn beg y sola gyleid cymryd osglyg yn sgol glsafolchach. Hege 40% yen sgolrinach yn sgol y fas arse. Cymryd yen am eich astrach y sosialte na basichan, agos had na talchinach yn gyma cwl. 98% of students at Ysgol Gyfan Gymraeg Llan come to school on a bus. How do we do the social distancing on buses to get those learners in? Head teacher Myrick Jones asked. It's also the type of building we have. Our corridors are very narrow and our classrooms are relatively small. So as dochog yn beg scholar yn netolin fatchach yn Henry Cheing, hafis acum gan be mi hen a jenaf yn cwch obracholchi agam netolin chun yn ucher. It seems a lot of children will be learning online for a while longer, and I know that I myself will be doing university on the internet until July at least. And with lockdown and university all on the internet, I know a lot of people my age have been waking up and sleeping at whatever time suits them. So here's Julie Fowlis to remind us of something many of us haven't been doing, rising early on a misty morning. Here's Yerich mi moch matin llawer from her CD Alterum. And we'll follow that with another walking song from Kappa Kelly, Soch Arol Röhrlich, on their CD At the Heart of It All. But first, here's Julie Fowlis.
Yerich mi moch matin llawer, hwcwri hwymo, sy mi edrych roch gan foiach, i mi cael fel Sin yeddo chor a gorach Ein symortan iri hai yw'r ohio o'r no hiw Bwlet mor yn doer o'r ohio Bwlet mor yr wyllgelen iri hai yw'r ohio o'r no hiw
Barossa Helicopters at Lyndoch has flights starting at $40 per person, and we've stopped those flights for now. We understand times are tough, but our friends and family will still have birthdays and anniversaries, so grab your gift card online. Expiry is 2 years from the date of purchase. Visit barossahelicopters.com.au and please stay safe.
Hi, it's Brendan Nottle from the Salvation Army here. This is a heartbreaking, overwhelming crisis, and today, as every day, the Salvos are doing what we can to help people experiencing their own personal disaster. In the midst of turmoil, you can help those hardest hit. Whether they're ill, have lost their job and facing poverty, or simply lonely, you can give practical help and hope. Go to salvationarmy.org.au to give to the Red Shield Appeal now, and please help us leave no one in need.
Háis bhagéisteach Rèidio Albannach Astràilia-a-Deas ag coig EBI yn 93.1 FM stidiadach EBI World Newsrug online. You're listening to Celtic Radio Hour on 5EBI 103.1 FM, digital EBI World, or streaming online. Han program seo sannaíoch wa Alpa, Cymru, Éire agus von pobl Celtach a seo an in Australia-a-Deas agus a Huladoich. This program is for those interested in things Scottish, Welsh, Irish, Cornish, Breton and Manx, as well as news from the Celtic communities here in South Australia and nationwide. Nan beag tolif bal radio a vias, chanjele ach $10 ach bliana agus beag sif gar cudjach a gajerif, curifon gu meirat noni keher in 3 shach ga coig 3 shach. If you'd like to help us stay on air, you can become a member for $10 a year. To find out more or to get an application form, please ring Margot on 0413 722 537. So it might be time for some notices then. First, a Welsh notice. The Welsh Society of Oregon's Nos on Lawan, or Spring Festival, begins online today. Because it's online, anyone is welcome to participate, especially international participants like us in Australia. Just send your submission in to their Facebook page at Oregon Welsh or by email at oregonwelsh@gmail.com. What sort of submissions, you ask? Traditional Welsh songs and tunes, alone or in a virtual ensemble, sharing of stories, recreating Welsh folktales or folklore with dolls, toys and stuffed animals, and even a colouring contest for the children. So check it out, the Welsh Society of Oregon, on Facebook at www.oregonwelsh.org. Tonight, a very special opportunity. Joy Dunlop, who conducted Kosher Alpa at Eurovision Choirs last year, is offering a COVID choral workshop online, starting at 8:30pm Adelaide time. So there's still time to sign up. These virtual choral workshops are probably going to run fortnightly and will work through the Gaelic Choir's Purple Book, but are open for anyone who would like to come along for a sing-along, in Joy's words. The emphasis is on enjoyable social distance learning in a virtual environment, and you don't need to be a Gaelic speaker or have any previous Gaelic choral experience. Now, you may remember that Kappa Kelly was going to be touring Australia at this time. They've cancelled the tour, I don't need to tell you why, but you can go to the Year of Scotland in Australia 2020 Facebook page tomorrow at 2pm Melbourne time, Eastern States time, that's 1:30pm Adelaide time, to watch the 35 anniversary tour concert at 30th anniversary concert at Celtic Connections in 2014, which will be played on the Year of Scotland in Australia Facebook page. Now, normally we can't see that sort of stuff over here. It's all on BBC iPlayer, which we can't access. So, a rare opportunity to watch a full-length concert of Capo Kelly and other Scottish performers. And that is on the Year of Scotland in Australia's Facebook page tomorrow at 1:30 Adelaide time. On the morning of the 24th, the Welsh Society of Oregon, who I've mentioned before, are running 2 free interactive online Nos an Lawen or Ceilidh events, hosted by an Adelaide resident. And on the 29th and 30th of this month, Mod Ynadal Gynedion, the Edinburgh local mod, has gone digital. That means you can enter from the comfort of your own home here in Australia. The deadline for entries has been extended until next Friday, the 15th. It will cost you £1 to enter the competition, that's about $2, and there are many categories for music, script writing, composition and conversation. All written, spoken and sung material must be in Gaelic, and music should be of Gaelic origin. It's sure to be a great opportunity for us in Australia, who usually can't even dream of going to any sort of mod, so do check out their website at www.edinburghlocalmod.com or email localmodedinburgh at gmail.com. And that's all the notices I have for you this week. If you're listening and you're a member of one of Australia's Celtic communities and you have a notice that you would like to see advertised here on Celtic Radio Hour, please get in touch with me or Margot. My email is renishnikari@gmail.com, and don't worry because I'm about to spell that out for you, so get your pens ready if you have a notice to send me. Send your notice to RAGHNAID full stop NICGARAIDH at gmail.com, and I'll include it in my next programme at the beginning of June. Now, we're getting towards the end of this programme, so just a few more pieces of news. Llach archeolach yn dron gysialagwr aing dún fochref William Wallace. Rhain yn dron syrfi yn larach agus chrwyg archeolach yn Model 3D, Archaeologists have used a drone to get a new view of William Wallace's hidden fort. The drone collected survey footage of the area in hundreds of photos, which were then stitched together to create the basis of a 3D model of the area. Chanel mór yn fianais yn uach gehwrt yn archeologia, ach ha yn tonach sy'n cwmactira a siasachig guma ri athrishan ach griel. There isn't much evidence on the surface, archaeologist Matt Ritchie, who oversaw the project, said, but the rampart and topography matches the historic description very well. Heading a long way south from Scotland now, and you may remember a Russian cargo ship I reported on last year, which had been stranded off the coast of Cornwall for a year already at that point. Add 16,000 tons and unfit to sail, and with the crew long repatriated back to Russia, the new Singapore-based owners hadn't been able to haul it away for scrap as they intended. However, the ship has finally been classed as seaworthy enough to be towed to Turkey for scrap. Falmouth Harbour Master Mark Sansom said that it had been a long and complex saga and wished all those involved a successful final voyage. Now, I mentioned Welsh earlier, and I mentioned choirs, so let's tie the two thoughts together and hear from one. This is Cantorion Cymraeg, the Victoria Welsh Choir, with Sospan Fach. Well, Sinead Manish Comunn Rèidio Albannach Astràilia-a-Deas Coig EBI, only 2.1 FM. That's all we have time for today on Celtic Radio Hour at 5EBI 103.1 FM. So it's goodbye from me, Rachel Hay. Cheery and Drasta agus oich valif. Chish and Shivana King. Celtic Radio Hour will be back at the same time next week with Margot. And don't forget Scottish Radio Hour at 12:30pm on Tuesday and Irish Radio just after it at 1:30. Be o Radio Albannach ac yn Albannach King agus be o Radio Albannach an cwdioch ac le oras J mail wad i marst agus o Radio Eranach agus J shin ac le oras J oor. Be mis a hain arash ec tos an ogvis. I myself will be back on the first Tuesday in June. Until then, here's Austral's Old Bush set from their CD recorded around the kitchen table in Adelaide.
Hello to our loyal 5EBI listeners. Given the current global situation with regards to the coronavirus, some 5EBI programs in the coming days, weeks and possibly months may be affected, with some programs not going to air at all. As you can appreciate, all ethnic programs on 5EBI are both produced and presented by dedicated and loyal volunteers who during this crisis may not be in a position for whatever reason to produce their programs for broadcast as normal. We thank you, our listeners, for both your understanding and patience in these difficult times, and we all hope things will return to normal as quickly as possible.
One of the best things we can all do to stop the spread of coronavirus in South Australia is social distancing. This means avoiding close contact and crowded places whenever and wherever we can. It's not about giving everything up, just doing things a bit differently for now at work and in the community. We must all play our part by practicing social distancing. Something as simple as respecting each other's space and staying at least 1.5 metres apart where possible will make a big difference in helping stop the spread. For more information and social distancing tips, visit stopthespread.sa.gov.au and let's all work together to stop the spread of coronavirus. This message brought to you by the Government of South Australia.
A sponsor of this station.